So good morning all. Today we are going to see the concepts of the interfaces in Java. So basically the interface is nothing but it is a reference type in Java. It is a similar to class. It is it is collection of abstract methods. A class implements an interface thereby inheriting the abstract methods of the interface. So basically we cannot able to from this statement we can able to conclude that we cannot able to create the object of interface. So this is basically the replacement for the multiple inheritance of C++. Okay, as we know that Java doesn't support multiple inheritance. So therefore, instead of that, we are using the concept of interface in Java. So basically, in this case, we can able to create the reference of an interface, but we cannot able to create the object. So wherever the references are needed, then at that time, we are creating the interfaces. So basically, if you see the example of the interface, if you see the mobile phone, so mobile phone is having the three basic methods, that is nothing but the connect, talk, and disconnect. So these three methods are the mandatory methods of the mobile phone. But we can able to say that if the GSM modem if you are using or the GSM SIM if you are using, then at that time, even though we are inserting the Airtel SIM into my system, then also that system is working. If I am inserting VI SIM, then also that is working. Why this is working? Just because that this is nothing but the standard method, which is connect, talk, disconnect. These are nothing but the standard methods which are defined by the systems, and every ISPs, that is service providers, are providing their implementations separately. So that is nothing but interface is basically used to create the standards. Another example is a printer. If we are taking the printer and if we are connecting that printer directly to the CPU, we cannot able to give the print. To run that printer, we require to provide the implementations, the software implementations of the printer. That is nothing but we need to include the drivers. When we are doing that, printing is the same mechanism. Okay, all the methods, the name of the methods which are given in within that driver, the printer driver, are same in irrespective of the company of printer. Printer may be of Epson, printer may be of HP, but that is connected to your system. If you are loading that particular driver, it means that that implementation you are able to get, and through that implementations, we can able to give the command to the printers and we can able to. Okay, so this is nothing but interface. Interface is basically used to provide the standardizations, just like we can consider another example as our CPU. Our CPU is connected. Let us say that even if my CPU is of Lenovo, but I can able to connect the Dell keyboard to the same. I can able to connect any local keyboard to the same. Why this is possible? Just because that the character generation process is same. So that process is a standard process which is defined. So this is nothing but the work of the interfaces. Okay, it is a reference type in Java. It is similar to class. Along with abstract method, an interface may also contain constant default method, static methods, and nested types. Okay, so by default, the methods in interfaces are abstract. It means that we are not providing the implementation of those methods in interface, but we are giving the abstract body. We are providing the abstract body of the same, and whatever the data which we are specifying in interface, that is public. Okay, so that is a public. By default, that is default access, public, default, and variables are finals. It means that those values are remain as the constants. We can able to consider the methods as the static methods also. Static methods also we can able to include in this interface. Okay, but whenever we are implementing the interface, into any of the class, then at that time then at that time we have to provide, okay, whenever we are trying to give the implementations with any of them, then we are trying to implement, sorry, whenever we are uh, trying to implement the interfaces into a particular class, and at that time it is mandatory that all the methods which are specified within interface should be implemented. Okay, so this is nothing but regarding the basics of interface. Just wait a minute. Okay. So basically, it is similar to a class in the following way. Basically, it is similar to class, but it has some of the differences. Just like we can able to create the object of class, but we cannot able to create the object of interface. An interface can contain any number of methods. So this is nothing but the same way like the class. This is the similarities of the class. An interface is written in a file with .java extensions with the name of interface matching the name of file. Okay, and interface is written in a file with .java extensions with the name of the interface matching the name of the file. We can able to give the name of the file as the name of interface also. The bytecode of interface appears in .class file. So this is again the same. The .class file, it is nothing but whenever we are defining any class in Java, automatically .class file is created. Interface appears in packages and their corresponding bytecode file must be a directory structure that matches the package name. Okay, so it is nothing but we can provide that interface into packages, and their corresponding bytecode file must be in directory structure that matches the package name. Okay, so for example, if we are describing any package is nothing but it is a collection of class, but along with class I can able to include the interfaces into that package. Okay, but it is mandatory that into the directory structure of package I have to include the bytecode of interface, the file where the interface. It means that we need to run the interface. Okay, automatically the bytecode is getting created. Okay, however, an interface is different from the class in several ways. Okay, so what are those? Basically, the first thing which I have already stated you, that we cannot able to instantiate an interface. It means that we cannot able to create the object of interface. An interface does not contain any constructor. So this is one of the things we can able to provide the constructor for the classes. Okay, so it means that we can able to create the constructor is nothing but it is having the same name as that of the name of class, and which is invoked automatically, but this is not possible in case of interface. All types of methods in interface are abstract. Okay, so all the methods, so this is the by default, but this was not true for classes. Okay, an interface cannot contain instance field. Okay, we cannot contain, it cannot contain the instance field. The only field that can appear in an interface must be declared both static and finite. Okay, an interface cannot contain instance field. Okay, instance field it doesn't have. The only field that can appear in an interface must be declared both static and finite. Okay, so all the considered, either the variable could be the static or it could be finite. Okay, the interface is not extended by a class, it is implemented by a class. We cannot extend, which I have already told you that. And because we are not providing any implementations in interface, so therefore we cannot able to extends by a class, but we can able to implement it by a class. An interface can extend multiple interfaces. N number of interfaces I can able to add, and one interface is extending another interface, but its implementation is into the class who is inheriting or who is implementing these interfaces. Okay, so I think this much is sufficient for today's session. We will see the next After what?